It's always hard to go after Alfonso Lopez, let me tell you. It is with sincere pleasure and honor that I'm here tonight to introduce my friend, Bruce. I'll be honest with you, I was a little bit conflicted when Bruce called me and asked me to come down here and introduce him tonight. Not because of who Bruce is, but because just recently, only a couple of days ago, I just got back from my honeymoon. This is the first time I've been willing to put on one of these sweatpants. But for a guy like Bruce, I'll move hell and high water, because that's what Bruce will do for us. I had a chance to meet Bruce last year on the campaign trail. I got to know what kind of person he is. Bruce has dedicated his life to progressive values, making change and being a leader. Whether it be large things like federal government, elections, or whether it be small things like a stop sign in the neighborhood. Bruce gives it his all. He's not here to move on to the next level or do anything else. Bruce cares deeply about Arlington, and that's why I care about Bruce. It's hard to find someone with that true compassion, that true leadership, that just wants to make things a little bit easier for all of us folks around. I am so pleased to be here with you tonight, Bruce. I am so excited that you are running. Some people might say he's coming a little bit late. I think he's just in time. And I am wildly, wildly proud to be here tonight to say, Bruce, I look forward to getting you elected and doing everything I can, and I hope everybody in here gets to know Bruce the way I have and realizes the true potential that Arlington can have underneath his leadership. Ladies and gentlemen, my friend, Bruce Wiljanen.
Thank you, Court, for that very generous introduction. Hello, fellow Democrats. I'm Bruce Wiljanen, and I'm running for county board. The newspapers say that I'm relatively unknown to y'all, but I've met many of you over the years, and I hope that you will all take time to get to know me over the next several weeks. I've lived here in Arlington now for over 22 years. The entire time I lived in Maywood. I arrived in Arlington on November the 4th, 1992, after spending a year campaigning across the country with the Clinton-Gore campaign. Then I worked in Washington for several years with the Democratic National Committee. I have a long-standing and heartfelt commitment to the core principles of the Democratic Party, and I would like to serve as your representative on the Arlington County Board. I'm running because I care deeply about the future of Arlington. I see that we need a person on the county board now who will bring the breadth and depth of real-life experience, the type of experience that will be needed to balance the competing interests of the many diverse stakeholders in our county. I carry an abundance of life experiences accumulated over many years, which will enable me to better hear and better understand what our different groups of people are asking for, what they might need, and what their aspirations are. It's called maturity. It will take a board member with knowledge, experience, and maturity to find a way to make the hard decisions that the county board will be facing in the coming years. The kind of life experience I'm talking about doesn't come just from serving on boards and commissions, though I have done my fair share of that. I've represented my neighborhood association for years as we built sidewalks, fire stations, and playgrounds in Maywood. The type of deeper experience I'm talking about comes from my wife and I raising a kid here in Arlington, all the way from the preschool crunch to a successful launch into adulthood, I am hoping. and that includes coaching softball, teaching grade bus, coping with the dreaded college application stresses. This kind of life experience comes from building a house here in Arlington. And I don't mean that figuratively. I mean with my own two hands. So I really understand, personally, the things that we can do to fix our zoning and our inspection services. This kind of experience comes from growing a little bit older and experiencing the empty nest yourself and wondering how the grandmother down the street on a fixed income is going to pay her bills now that she's alone. It's called maturity with a dose of compassion. And as many of you know, along with maturity, compassion, and life experience comes a wider and more complex view of the world and our role in it as a community. It's important for a community leader to understand how we fit into the larger world and how we can interact with it through our example. And I bring this kind of knowledge to the table. This kind of knowledge comes from my experiences representing the United States government overseas, successfully negotiating the details of state visits in foreign and sometimes inhospitable countries. From these life experiences, I have learned personally that it is most certainly possible to overcome challenges that at first have seemed insurmountable, and to do it gracefully. This kind of knowledge I will bring to the Arlington County Board. This kind of knowledge comes from working on a statewide political campaign, building personal relationships throughout Virginia. I remember working with Lowell Feld early on in Jim Webb's Senate campaign and setting up the headquarters on Wilson Boulevard. I remember walking miles to talk with people about how Mark Warner, Tim Kaine, and Terry McAuliffe would bring better government to all of Virginia and benefit us here in Arlington. This is the type of life experience and point of view that I will bring to the Arlington County Board. I've reached a point in my life now where I can devote the time and the energy required to do this job correctly. They call it a part-time job, but it really requires full-time attention. I'm not going to be trying to do this job in my spare time while I earn a better living somewhere else. The people of Arlington deserve to have my complete attention. And I guarantee I don't have my eye on some bigger political office down the road like some might. I'm not here to punch a ticket, build legacy projects, or push an ideology. I'm here to get the necessary things done for the people of Arlington. On June 9th, I'm asking you to vote Bruce for board.